I want to put this video together to show you the top 10 things that you need to be doing or looking at within your Google business profile and make sure that it's as optimized as possible, getting as many clicks and calls as you can from it. Now, this is such an underutilized service, completely free to be able to set up and put your information in. They have so many different things in here that can benefit you. So few people really take full advantage of it. So this is taken into consideration you already have a Google business page. If not, take a look at one of our other videos, talk about how to set these things up. We're not going to go into that in this video, but in this video we're going to take a look at my business profile, make sure that's set up properly, and show you what you need to be looking at as well. So the first thing, we're going to go into the info tab. This is where the majority of everything is that you're going to be doing is. And the first thing we want to see up here is what is our primary business category. Now this is so important because what you need to do is have that very first category that comes at the top up here. Let's go ahead and click on the edit icon. This primary category, what is it that that's the main thing that your business does. Now, if the main thing that you want to be known for is like down in the second, third, or fourth place down there, then you need to move that out. Now, the best way to be able to understand that, or what you should be using in there, is just to do a Google search for like your service and try to find your competitors. See what your competitors are using. They may be using a slightly different wording variation of this. Now you have to choose from one of Google's predefined categories in here. So hopefully that should kind of narrow it down, but there could be several variations of that. I know like garage door installation was really kind of a weird one that I've had trouble setting up a client for because it's like garage door parts or construction or things like that. So we really wanted to see what the competitors in the area were using and just try to match that just to make sure that we were kind of on par with everybody else. So that's number one, making sure that your primary category is in there and that you have some secondary categories as well if they apply. Number two is your service areas. Now this is kind of where the Google Maps starts to expand a little bit here, and we can say we not just service our area of where our business is located, but we also service these other cities in the surrounding area. Now there's a couple different ways you can put those in there. You can put those in by city and state. You can put it in by zip code. You can actually put it in by county, I believe, as well. So play around with some different options when you add your service area. I really try to prevent going over like maybe 4 or 5 service areas in there. Google can start to think that you're kind of spamming the system a little bit. So just going to keep it to like 4 or 5. You'll be totally fine with that. One underutilized area in here is the hours. Now, most people have this set up, but whether or not it's accurate is another thing. I've seen businesses that put 24/7 in there, that they're open, 7 days a week. And from what I've heard, I haven't actually had this happen to me, but from what I've heard is that Google actually spot checks these sometimes, and they'll call it these different hours that they say that they're open. And if they have too many calls where they don't go through, it's possible that Google can come back and say, you know what, this is not accurate, and start to kind of ding you for it. So make sure that your hours are accurate and that you're actually around just in case that Google calls you. Another thing is the holiday hours here, the dates that you are closed. So this is kind of important because it tells Google that you're actually actively in your profile, making changes, making sure that things are updated, make sure that your customers know what days you are closed or have limited hours on. So if you see some upcoming holidays, I need to go in and start to populate the 2022 year's holidays in here and let people know when we're going to be closed or not open or have limited hours on those dates. Super important to do. All right. So getting down into this area right here, make sure that you have your link to your website in here. But what I like to do is add this UTM code in here, which lets me know exactly where this is coming from. So it sounds really technical, and it's not that big of a deal. Basically, what we can do is we can go in, and I'll show you here in a second, how we can go in and get this custom UTM tag. Now, this really doesn't affect the website, or excuse me, the link in any way. Somebody click on this link, it's going to go right to your website. It's not going to have any bearing on that. But what it's going to do is within your analytics, as long as you're tracking this, like in Google Analytics, you can see where that click came from. And by having this tag on here, this UTM code on here, it tells them where that person came from. So let's take a look at how to create that here just real quick. All right, so there's lots of different ways that you can add this in here. As you can see, it's really just kind of basic code in here, just seeing where the traffic came from. I have the source as GMB in here, but there's a really great editor that you can use, something like this. And so like here, let's go ahead and build it out real quick. So let's say this is the website I wanted to go to. Oops, took too much of it. All right. So say the actual URL, the website that I want to go to is the address up here. The source is going to be, in this case, it's my Google My Business. UTM Medium, I just say, or organic traffic. So basically it's saying, where's it coming from? What type of traffic is it? Do we want to add it to a campaign? No, this would be for different kinds of ad campaigns. Teams, again, different people tracking different things for their team, campaign management, things like that. And as you can see, as I add those things to it, it builds up my custom URL. And you can see if I copy that URL and go to the website, it will redirect just to the homepage here, which is how it should be. But within analytics, it's going to be tracking this very specific link up here, which again doesn't affect the website in any way, but it does allow you to know where the traffic came from. So again, I like having that in there. Don't feel that you have to, but it's again good for tracking purposes in there. Excuse me, appointments, I mean, that's fine. So services, this is one area, let's talk about this. So you'll see that there are some services in here that are in black and some that are in this kind of yellowy orange kind of color. Yellowy orange are things that either people have come to my Google business page and said, hey, this guy does this, or this company does this service, or Google thinks that maybe you do these kinds of things, and they suggest them to you. So what we can do is we can go in and edit them, and we can say we can either accept all the changes here, or just kind of leave them alone, because they don't necessarily apply. So I don't make marketing materials. I don't do IDX. Well, I do some IDX. So some of these would apply. I could probably add these. Franchise marketing, I don't do that. E-learning, not really. I mean, other than these videos here. So there are some good things in here. Maybe I don't want to go in. I don't do 3D design, things like that. So you kind of want to weed those out. But again, these are just suggestions from Google or from people who have visited your page that you may want to add as a service. Now you can add these in manually. These are not like the categories up here. So you can add in all the different things that you do. So it's good to keep those updated. Now a really important thing is to have a good description in here. Now this allows up to 750 words, and this is something that we're going to be working on for ourselves, is we want to go in and make sure that we have a lot of the keywords that we're talking about, what we do as far as our services go, locations, things like that. Anything that you can have to build out that business profile here is going to help set you apart from the other people who either don't have anything or have a very light description in here. So again, you can see I've got 243 words out of 750 possible, so go ahead and max that out as close as you can to that 750 mark. Again, don't just keyword stuff it, but make sure that it's something that if someone reads it, it's going to make sense to them, but also has a lot of keywords as far as, again, services and locations and things like that. That's going to really help you out quite a bit. All right, so let's talk about a couple of the other things that are in the sidebar over here. Let's go into posts. Posts are really critical because these are different types of things that you can let Google or people who visit your Google business page know that are going on, whether it be a special offer, an event that you have going on, or what most people use them for are just blog posts. So I'm going to go ahead and add a blog post now just to show you how I do it. I'm going to come over here, click on the new, and you can see we've got different things like COVID updates. We don't have a brick and mortar store, so we don't necessarily have to worry about that. Special offers, I could offer, free hosting for a year or something, and have this run from a certain start and stop date. But again, for the most part, I use the what's new over here. So what this does is it essentially lets me create a blog post in here that will link to my website. And that's huge because, for one, Google likes to know that you're still alive and that you're still creating content. But being Google, it's also going to index that information and send traffic to your way because it says, hey, there's a new link on this person's website. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new photo here because I have a new blog post I want to add as an example. So I'm going to upload that photo. I'm going to write my post, so what I'd like to do is just grab the first paragraph or two within the blog post that I did, and then go ahead and start to paste that in there. Now it has a very, very small window, so I always end up doing just kind of grabbing this bottom right-hand corner over here and stretching it out. And then I'll go ahead and add a couple of keywords to it, or hashtags, really, because that's just the way Google works. So I'm going to add in a couple that are going to be relevant to my article here. And then I want to have some kind of call to action button. I want people to call, sign up, buy, whatever. I say learn more. It's going to be a blog post. And I'll go grab that URL to my blog post. And I post it in there and hit publish. All right, so you can see that that automatically goes up. It does take a little bit for Google to index it, but now that that's in there, that's going to help me out quite a bit. It's good to also share this if you can, because again, the more links that you have inbound going from one to another is just going to benefit you. So I'm going to add that to my Facebook page here in a little bit. But let's go ahead and take a look at the last two things here. We talked a couple times about adding relevance and letting Google know that you are still alive and still in business. So add photos every once in a while. These seem to be a really big thing for Google. They really like to see this kind of thing. We can see some of these photos get 1,000 hits. This one's gotten a couple hundred hits on some of these portfolio pieces. 400 for this one. So it's really good to have those in there. You can also add videos and things like that, your logo, business photos, people in your business. All those things are really good to add to your photos. And again, just keep adding them every once in a while. If you added 4 or 5 per month, you'd be doing really, really well and probably setting you apart from your competition. Now, the last thing I want to take a look at is one of the few things that people really understand or take advantage of, and that's the website. So by default, all this information that you filled out on all these other tabs over here will go in and create this website for you. We can see that one blog post that I just went ahead and added has appeared over here, as well as some of the other past ones. It has testimonials from my Google business page, again, what people have actually reviewed on me. It has my about information in here, the gallery of photos, the map to my location. Basically everything that my whole profile is built out has created this one website. Now, yes, this is up by default, but the one thing that you need to do is go ahead and make sure that it's live over here. It will be in kind of a staging area until you set it live, so go ahead and just set that live. It doesn't mean this is going to take over your website. It doesn't mean that this can be found by people. You can connect a domain name to it, and you can have it be your website, but really it's kind of limiting. So I just set up really the default look, have all this information populate into it, and then just make sure it's live. And that's really kind of setting you apart from a lot of other people who just don't do this kind of thing. And it's so important to have because, again, this is the culmination of everything from your profile put into one spot that Google can then index and help rank you higher for those different keywords, your location, your services, all those different things like that, again, all in one place. So if you have those 10 things done, you are going to be doing much, much better. What you're going to want to do is come back every month and just kind of check your insights, see how many phone calls you've received, how many clicks to your website you've received from your Google business page. And again, we have a lot of work to do on ours, but again, not being a brick and mortar place, we focus more on our clients who do have those actual location pages, and they get a lot more from this. So take a look at those analytics, take a look at your actual Google Analytics if you have that UTM set up in there, and just be consistent with posting in here as much as you can and making sure that all the information is updated and accurate. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. We can help walk you through any questions that you have, or just leave a comment below and we'll be happy to help out.